Welcome into another episode of Profits Picks. We'll go ahead and get started in on the games in the order that they go off. We'll take a look at a side. We'll take a look at a total for both games, and then we'll go ahead and take a look at player props as well. And we're going to start with Miami. Miami Heat taking on the Milwaukee Bucks. Opening Heat -3. We're currently seeing 4.5s out there. Total opening 216, and we're now seeing 219.5, and a big boost recently in like the last few minutes, or at least by another point. And I have to agree with the move on the total. Miami, first I'll read this stat. It opened at 216. It's now up to 219.5, but I'll read it anyway for you guys. But Miami, when they're rested, they're playing competition, a 55% win team or greater, and they're a favorite of less than 4 or a dog. Total between 210 and 217. The over is 12-0. It's rose above that margin now. But, I mean, you can take it for what it's worth. I still think this total is a little bit low. I know the Bucks can be without Giannis. I still think they're able to score. Their problem mostly has been scoring at the end of the game in the fourth quarter, and that's been because Giannis struggles to score in that portion of the game. Look at how they score without Giannis. I mean, they'll spread the floor. It'll be a lot better spacing. And I look when the total's been less than 231, Giannis didn't play, and the Bucks are rested. The over is hit 4 out of the last 5 times. Average total was 227, and went over by about 12.4 points per game. So I think this total is just a little bit too low. I agree with the line move up. Whether Giannis is in or not, I don't think it matters as far as the total is concerned. I would look more so towards Harrow and Olynyk. I want them both to be in, but I do think they both will play. And I think this game has more points than not. I'll say I like the first quarter and first half over as well, if not more. It seems like these teams score more early in the game and struggle later on. So I could see that to continue. I mean, especially let's say the Heat get a lead in this game and a big lead. I'm talking like blowout. And the Bucks, I mean, they know this will be their last game. I think you may not see everybody playing for the Heat. The starters will come out, and probably the Bucks throw in the white flag as well. So you always have to have that in the back of your mind, and that would equal less points. So that's the only thing that I could see to kill it. I like the over first quarter. I like the over first half, and I like the over full game. If we're gonna look at the side, I mean, if Milwaukee was at -2 still, or pick them or whatever the case is, yeah, I love Miami, but I don't really necessarily expect them to win by margin. I think it can be a close game, whether Giannis plays or not. I think Milwaukee can keep it close. I would not be taking the Heat minus the 4.5. If it stays at that number, I would have to look towards the Bucks, and it would be simply just because I mean, they play a close game. When Giannis is announced, whether he's announced in or out, if he's announced in, then you'll see that line move closer towards Pick'em, and at that point, I would be more interested in Miami. Now, if he's announced out and you see it start to climb, I would definitely stay away from Miami and lean more towards taking the Bucks. So the side on this game, we have to wait and see. It depends on Giannis' status, but the total, we definitely like the over. And if we're gonna look at player props in this game, the guys I have to look towards Butler when he's locked in and he's putting pressure on that defense, driving, he can kick it out and find those guys open. I don't think 4.5 is a tall ask. I think he can definitely reach 5 assists. And Dragic, his assist total is at 4.5 as well. He's averaging 5 per game on the series. I don't think that's too tall of an ask. Those are the two I like the best. And if I had to take another one, I probably would look towards Dragic points. And those are the ways that I look in that game. As far as the Milwaukee props, not necessarily one that I love. If I have to choose, and my thinking for it would be if Giannis does not play, I think Eric Bledsoe could be the guy handling the ball with the floor spread, shooters around him, and putting pressure on the defense and kicking it out, finding guys. So his assist total, I think I saw at 5.5 maybe at plus money, and I think that's worth a shot for a score. We'll go ahead and go to the next game on the slate. That's going to be the Los Angeles Lakers taking on the Houston Rockets. Opening Lakers minus 5.5, currently down to 4.5. Total opening 224, and that has been bet down. We're seeing 222. And for this game, I don't necessarily understand the move on the total. I know that Houston has been a great defensive team thus far in the playoffs. I know that the Lakers are defense first team, but at what point do these Houston totals get too low? How often do we see 222 for Houston? And I mean, we've seen some of these situations already in the playoffs, and I'm looking at Houston right now when the total is between 222 and 225. The last 9 games, the over is 9-0, and 3 of those games were in the playoffs versus OKC. One was versus the Lakers. The average total was 223, and they went over by about 9.78 points per game. I just think that it's too low here. Houston is going to make adjustments to what the Lakers defense showed them in that previous game, and I think they will be able to score. If the Lakers go small with McGee hurt, I think that Westbrook has an easier time scoring in the paint. I think that Houston continues to have success scoring. I think the Lakers move towards playing faster when they have that smaller lineup. And I think that the total is a little bit too low here in this one. Looking at the Lakers also, total between 218 and 224. Last 6 games, they're 6-0 to the over. Average total 221.8 and surpassing that by about 17 points per game. So that's the only way I can look in this one. It has to be taking over that 222. And if we're going to look at the side here, the only way, when I first looked at it initially, I didn't love to see the Lakers at minus the 5.5. I'm thinking, well, McGee is injured now. We don't know if he's playing. Waiters is doubtful to play. And Houston is likely to adjust. And that I just didn't necessarily like initially. The more I think about it, Houston does not have an answer for LeBron James. Houston does not have an answer for Anthony Davis. And all the Lakers need is to play a little bit of defense and for these other guys to hit a few shots. Danny Green finally came to life. He hit 3 3-pointers. Morris got hot. He hit 4 of them. You have other guys who are capable of knocking them down. KCP only shot 2. He made 1. There's guys on this team who can knock down the 3. And we haven't even got to mention Kuz yet. So Kuz could have a big game here in this one. I think the Lakers are focused. The longer a series goes on, the worse I think James Harden gets. I don't trust Russell Westbrook in the playoffs. I mean, he can sit out there and shoot all series if he likes. I see more positives to this Lakers side than I see for this Houston side. And if I'm going to look at, really quick talking about that, looking at props, I had a discussion with some friends, and we're talking about Anthony Davis versus LeBron James. Who has the better game tonight? Who scores the more points? I think LeBron James, is more pressure on him to put. It's more pressure on him to lead the team as far as like an assist type standpoint. Like he has to get everybody else involved. He has to get everybody else open shots, get everybody else involved. I think that's the most pressure on LeBron James. I don't think he necessarily has to score all of the points for the Lakers to win, but he does have to get everybody involved for them to win. I think he does have to score, though. I'm not going to say he doesn't have to score, but I don't think it's the most important thing for him to do tonight. Anthony Davis, that is the biggest way that he impacts this game in this series. is by putting the ball in the basket. He's the biggest advantage on the offensive end. I mean, on defense, yes, we like to have him, but he's the biggest mismatch. So I think that he likely has the most points. I would lean towards his point total over. And if I'm going to look at the Houston Rockets, I mean, we expect a bounce back game for Westbrook, right? I would probably look more towards his assist. I don't think he's going to be shooting as many jumpers. He probably, I mean, if it's a smaller lineup, he probably has more success at the rim. And that would help his point total. But I'm thinking he breaks down the defense, gets inside, and kicks it out to guys for open shots. And I think if he does that, it's very easy, or not easy, it's very doable for him to surpass 5 assists. So that's the way that I'll lean towards the Rocket side. So I'll just do a quick recap here. Only 2 games. We're going to lean on, we're going to wait on Giannis' status for the first game. If Giannis is in, line likely goes down closer to pick him. And we like the Heat. If Giannis is out, the only way we could look would be the Bucks. As far as the total in that game, we agree with the line move. We like the over. And we're looking at Dragic assist over 4.5, Butler assist over 4.5. And in the Laker game, we're looking at Lakers minus the 4.5 points. We're looking at the total over the 222, and we're looking at Anthony Davis points over, I think it was 30, and Westbrook assist over 5. Thank you for rocking with me on another episode of Profits Picks. Best of luck if you tail. Good luck on all of your action. We have a few more days in the week. Let's continue to stack this money, and I'll catch you guys again next time.